Hello everyone, I'm Sarah. Welcome back to Sculpt Happy Studio. Here at Sculpt Happy, it's all about keeping it real. I love sharing my process with you, which includes successes, but also my mistakes, because we're all learning together. My goal is to spread joy through my art and create a space where you can relax and unwind and maybe even just try something new. I'm all about embracing our true selves and supporting one another, because it's so important. So whether you're a seasoned sculptor or you're just starting out on your journey, you're definitely in the right place. I believe in the power of positive reinforcement and celebrating each other's wins. If we're honest with ourselves, we can at times look over the fence at other people with skill and talent and feel that maybe when we want to develop our own skills that the gap is perhaps just too big, the journey is just too hard, and we can experience jealousy and maybe even resentment. YouTube creator Alexa Saarenoja recently discussed this subject really beautifully, meaningfully and honestly, where she addressed in her video her haters. Alexa said that instead of telling ourselves the dialogue, why them, not me, to actually refocus and instead say to ourselves, well, if them, then me. It's a great video and I will link it in my description below, as are all Alexa's videos. So please do take the time to watch her. She's really motivational, very honest and very caring. So off the back of Alexa's very valid point, I would like us to shift our mindset to actually telling ourselves, if they can do it, so can I. Please remember you're not on this journey on your own. I am here every step of the way right beside you. All you have to do is make a start. The important part is taking the first step and just giving it a go. It's also okay to step out of your comfort zone and to make mistakes. And I think sometimes we forget that. We forget to give ourselves permission that it's all right to fail the first time, that actually it's exactly what we have to do in order to learn. One thing I think is important to tell myself and that I like to also share with others is to take your time, to be patient and also to apply care. Sculpting's a journey, it's not a race. Enjoy the process and let your creativity flow. So once you've gathered your clay and grabbed a few simple tools, we can get started. Get yourself comfy and let's create some daffodils. Okay, so like with all my work, I start with making samples, and here I've done 4 samples. The 2 I'm just showing you are made with the yellow and white clay mixed with some translucent, and the other 2 I'm using translucent clay mixed with yellow alcohol ink. The alcohol ink gave too much of a green tinge, so I'm choosing here to go for the yellow, the white and the translucent clay. So you can see the 2 colour swatches there. Take equal parts of each colour, so white, yellow and translucent, and we're going to mix those together. You can do that by rolling them into a coil, folding and repeating the process, or you can use your rolling pin like I am here, just until the colours are all mixed together. And then repeat the process for the darker yellow. Take some of the dark yellow and roll an even coil, using 2 hands to go from the centre of the coil out. Helps to keep the coil even. You're going to cut a small piece of the yellow coil about the size of a pea, and you're going to roll that into a little ball, and then using your finger and thumbs you're going to taper the end of that coil so it ends up as a teardrop shape. Now using a ball tool we're going to shape the small teardrop into the trumpet part of the daffodil. Gently press using your ball tool to form an opening. Now you've got the walls of that nice and thin, you're going to take your needle tool and we're going to flute the top edge of the trumpet. Cut a piece of wire at least as long as 10 centimetres. You'll probably need it longer than you think you will. And this will form the stem of the daffodil. Use some clay adhesive to fix the trumpet of the daffodil to the piece of wire. Bake for 10 to 15 minutes. Taking the same darker yellow, roll out a very fine coil, and we're going to use this to cut 6 stamen and 1 longer one as the stigma, which is the longest piece at the centre of the trumpet. Roll 3 very tiny little balls of that yellow clay to form the decorative part of the stigma. Now attach the stamen to the stigma using some clay adhesive and your needle tool or clay shaper. And finally add the decorative balls to the top of the stigma. Bake for 10 to 15 minutes. Taking the lighter coloured yellow clay, roll into a long thin coil and you're going to cut 6 pieces that will form the petals of the daffodil. Taper each one so that it's pointed at both ends and then flatten them into a petal shape. Place them onto a piece of foam or your sugar craft mat and you're going to use a ball tool to carefully trace the edge of your petal. And this will thin the clay out and it will curl the petal. Repeat this for all 6. Now we're going to attach the petals to the trumpet. I secure the wire of the stem to my finger. I find it's just a little bit more secure. Then I take clay adhesive, use the silicone shaper to apply that to the base of the trumpet, and then carefully pick up each of the petals and one at a time secure those to the outer side at the base of the trumpet. Now I'm going to secure the stamen to the centre of the trumpet. Just use a bit of clay adhesive in the middle using your needle tool, and you should find that that fits neatly in the hole. Now we need to mix our green to make the leaves of the flower, so we're going to take equal parts of ultramarine blue and yellow and mix those together. I do it with 2 coils of clay until they're thoroughly combined and you've got one even colour. Because we want a lighter shade of green, I'm taking about 1/3 of the green we've made and adding the same amount of yellow to it. And again, repeat the process, just mix them together until you end up with a more yellowy tone of green. Now you're going to roll out 2 coils, one of the first green you made and one of the lighter green. Then you're going to roll each coil flat and lay them next to each other, slightly overlapping lengthways, and create a skinner blend so that you end up with a graduation from dark to light green. Neaten up your sheet of clay just to get rid of the rough edges. You can use a tissue blade or a craft knife, and then you're going to cut around about 3 to 6 pieces, like thin strips, and each of those will form the leaves of the flower. Then we're going to taper the end of the leaf using our fingers, and we can use a silicone shaper to help, and then use the needle tool to draw a line of detail down the centre of the leaf, and then just repeat this for the other leaves. Mix a green with your yellow and blue acrylic paint so that it's a similar shade to the leaves. Once the paint's dry, we can attach the leaves to the stem. Just use some clay adhesive and your silicone shaper, apply the glue to the stem, and then carefully, holding the leaf gently, then stick the leaf to the stem using the silicone shaper to help blend the edges. I hope you've enjoyed watching the process and found the steps I've shared helpful. Most importantly, I hope it's inspired you to give it a go. It would be wonderful to see what you create, so I encourage you to share photos of your artwork with me. Let's support one another and celebrate our wins together. Thank you for joining me. See you next week.